Thank you.
It's good to see all of you. Thank you for having me. So I need your favor for one thing today. My voice tone is very low. It's soft. It's quiet. And I have a neurological issue that makes me unable to discern whether or not I'm speaking loudly or not. So if you could help me with that, go. If you don't hear me, that would be really useful. Okay, so the title of today's talk is Unbinding the Heart. And what it is, it's a talk on anger. Has anybody noticed any anger lately? Maybe a little bit. It's a talk for our times, I think. What I'd like to do is start with a little reflection. If you want to, close your eyes or just go in a little bit. And think back over the weekend to the beginning of this week up to today. Think of places you went, people you encountered, things you felt, good and bad, hard and difficult, easy and joyful. News you consumed, discussions with loved ones, activities for work or play. Just let yourself surf the waves of these recent memories in the last few days. And while you're doing that, I'd like you to notice the highlights of feeling tones. The day to night. Are they pleasant? Unpleasant? Neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Pause momentarily at different points and notice how these are expressed in your body. Now narrow down to the spots where you touched into one of the flavors of anger. That can be frustration, aversion, irritation, frank anger, rage, fury, angry tears, righteousness. And then quietly notice the felt experience. How's that expressing itself in your body, in your heart? How does it feel? And what might be underlying? Triggers for anger. What are your triggers? What's your relationship to this flavor of anger you're noticing? How does it fit into your practice, or does it? Today we're going to explore this and a bit of what may be underlying, like grief, or sadness, or fear, or helplessness. And I invite you to drop down into the home of your body and listen with your heart rather than your head, because that's where our anger starts sometimes. And these are not topics we love to visit. Is anger good or bad? Is there a middle path? A few years ago, many of you know the teacher Janissa. She wrote a piece in Tricycle, I think it was Tricycle magazine, yeah, on anger. She titled it, like, Everything's Gonna Be All Right. I can't recall the time, it was about 2017 or so. And she wrote about anger, and she wrote about much of what I'm going to be talking about today is a similar tone of anger as part of who we are as humans, and we have to make it part of our practice. And if you look at the comments, you can find that article and look at the comments underneath that she was skewered for saying that. People said she wasn't a real Buddhist, she didn't know how to read the suttas. Might there be a little anger in the tone of all that? Anyway, she had to write back and sort of make amends with people who didn't like what she'd said, and I thought she did it very graciously. But anger can come up in the form of rage and the more insidious passive aggression. It can lead to destructive ends, conflict, turmoil, violence, harm. Look at what it's doing to our society, our culture right now in this country. It can lead to thoughtless reactivity, divisiveness, othering. It can become an identity, become a way that sticks into our bones until it turns into sustained hatred and separation. Think about, I'm a warrior, I'm a righteous warrior, activism is wonderful, we're all about it. Engage Buddhism. And we can become an identity that focuses on our anger, which is not necessarily something we want to do. It can be used as a rationale for both skillful and harmful behavior. It can erode the solid integrity and tenderness of our hearts. Right? It's like acid pouring acid onto a foundation. So anger is clearly bad, right? Not really. It can be a signal of a need for action, a positive catalyst for change. You know the teacher Ruth King, she talks about anger as initiatory. It's important to initiate our action, but not sustainable. We can't sustain it because it eats us away. Anger can be a source of passion and commitment, and empowerment and strength. It can reflect deep care and engagement. When you see someone being harmed by another, especially on the scale writ large that we have going on right now in this country, righteous anger might have a place for a moment. It's very initiatory. Anger can be seated in compassion and can be an expression of compassion. It can be the wise instrument of fierce compassion. You've heard the term fierce compassion, perhaps. It's a tenderness of the heart that recognizes thoughtful limits and boundaries. So anger also can be good. It's a part of us. I don't know if any of you have heard of Valerie Carr. She's an author. She's an activist and author of this book, Revolutionary Love. It's wonderful if you haven't read it. She's not Buddhist, she's Sikh, but her teachings are amazing. And she says, rage protects that which is loved. Rage protects that which is loved. She goes on to say as well, the aim of divine rage is not vengeance, but to reorder the world. It's basic human emotion. We can identify it, ignore it, we can deny it, we can suppress it, we can become it, but we can't avoid it. It's part of who we are as human beings. We're not really in these practices, and some of you may disagree with this, and if you do, that's okay. But we're not trying to transcend. To the contrary, we're cultivating full presence to see the causes and conditions that lead to anger. Zen Master Dogen once said, enlightenment is intimacy with all things. All things, not a selection of things that are pleasant, but all things, including our anger and our difficult emotions. So in a way, this is kind of a talk on the First Noble Truth. There is suffering sometimes. Not life is suffering, but there is suffering. Life is all things, as Master Dogen would say. So there is suffering and dissatisfaction, and this suffering is to be understood, not thrown away, not pushed away. Okay? So how do we use that suffering as a teacher? You guys still hear me okay back there? Anger can be born of the three poisons named by the Buddha: greed, hatred, and delusion. So we can have greed that looks like agitated grasping, or angry longing, or restless seeking. We can have hatred. We know what that looks like: rage, separation, othering. And we can have delusion. Anger can arise in a confused tangle of unnameable dysphoria. I just want to growl today, but I don't really know why. It can be a reflection of confused perspectives and thoughts and beliefs, views and attachments that get us hung up, make us forget that we're an interbeing with each other and everyone else. Anger can be activated through pathways of grief, hurt, misunderstanding, loneliness, fear. Emotion that anger can cover and protect. But they are the underlying truths. Think about the times you've been most angry. It's probably, if you stop and get quiet for a moment, you're probably going to recognize the anger underneath it, the fear, the grief, the sadness. And as a parent, every time I screwed up the most royally, it was underlying any anger was fear, always. Fear. So something terrible would happen to my kid, or that I would do something, make some egregious mistake. But through our practices, we can transform those energies. We use anger as a pathway for wisdom and insight, right action. Those forms of anger can motivate us to cultivate generosity, wise and wholesome giving, acting with intention, love, honoring that which we hope to protect, clarity of heart and mind, sitting with these energies, committed to the wisdom of our Dharma path, sitting with these energies and listening for the causes and conditions that are underlying, causes and conditions that might in us elicit at some point some form of compassion or self-compassion. Tanisra speaks of working with anger via meditation. She describes it this way: purifying the mind from ignorance, freeing action from distortion, sending out energy of non-contention or prayerfulness. She's a very devoted practitioner, and these are her words. So in our practices, I think there are three areas of attention we can give to anger when we feel it arising. So it's not that anger arises and we have to act, right? That's what we're kind of working not to do maybe here on this path. There are three areas: our inner experience of anger, how we experience it, the internal behavior, what speech or actions are we taking that are having an internal impact, and then external action, what do we do with that anger out in the world. Those are three very different things. The the inner experience of anger, are we accepting it and allowing it? This is what anger is like. It's what it feels like in my body. Or are we resisting and projecting? When we do that, we end up leaking, I think, often. With internal behavior, that's internal speech or response. Where is this taking you? I think that's a really fundamental Dharma question on when we're in something that feels confused or tangly or difficult. Where is this taking me? Where am I headed right now with this? Is it a good place? Is it wholesome? Or is it not so much? I find that useful. So when we're thinking about our internal behavior around anger, are we blaming? Blame can be like a heat-seeking missile, trying to find the target. Instead of just sitting with, oh my goodness, I'm angry, this happened. How can I be with this? Doing a U-turn to come back, bring that heat-seeking missile back into the heart, our own hearts. And then external action, that's pretty obvious, right? Are we going to be wholesome? Are we going to be unwholesome, skillful or unskillful? Are we going to be thoughtless and reactive? Sometimes we are. Or we can be intentional and spacious. Anger is an impermanent internal state. We can separate all the papancha of identifications and words and views and opinions that often go along with it, the stories we create. We can separate it from the external and the internal. So the Dalai Lama has a book, Be Angry. I think it's a book. Is it a book or not? Yeah, it's a book. 2 kinds of anger, that based in compassion and that based in hatred. That makes it pretty simple. He speaks of a deeper meaning of the middle path. He says, in Buddhism, the true meaning of the middle way is moving dynamically between extremes of suffering and peace, experiencing both. Suffering should make us angry. This type of anger moves us towards a wrathful compassion to take an action to end suffering. So the key is how we relate to anger. What's your answer? Think about this in yourself. What's your answer to that question? What's my relationship to anger? Am I comfortable with it? Can I sit with it? Or do I have to quickly act it out or shove it away? Do we fight and resist shoulds and shouldn'ts? I remember saying to my teacher long ago, girls and women shouldn't be put, whatever, I don't remember my view at the time, I shouldn't be put through difficult things. She said, they are put through difficult things. What are you going to do about it? Your opinion that they should or shouldn't is really not useful. So that was a little, ouch, but I got it. Do you fight or resist? Do you fight? Do you flight? Take escape, refuge, false refuges. Do you go drink or eat or do drugs or run too much? Or what do you do with your anger if you try to escape it? Do you freeze, shut down, suppress, deny, contract? That can lead us to spiritual bypassing, which isn't always helpful because then that leads us to manifest anger below the line of awareness. And then we get in trouble. We're acting out, not realizing it, very unconsciously. And we can engage in selfing, where we identify ourselves as an angry person or someone else as an angry person, or we identify as a victim. That's kind of a form of anger in some people. We can identify as a righteous warrior, which can have good connotations, but also can be problematic if we get too buried in the anger part of it. It's all in service of an ego, really, I think. Self-deprecation also, the flip side of that coin. Feeling bad about ourselves for feeling the tough feelings, something's wrong with me. Self-image and image in the eyes of others, like, what do you think if you see me crying or angry or any difficult emotion? Do I do the second arrow and sort of pierce myself twice? Or do I say, here's anger, this is what it looks like. I can hold it. I think the key here is we cannot know that which we keep hidden. We can't heal what is not available and felt. When we feel that anger, if it's something that is in need of healing, we can't do that if we're not dealing directly with the anger. It's a part of our life force. It's part of our life energy. It signals us to what needs attention. It's got a great signal value if we don't get lost in the rest of the agitation and noise. It's part of our passion. It's part of our wholeness. Remembering that rather than becoming anger, we are attending to our anger. We are the still awareness that's watching it all. We can remember that. We are the vast, still sky, the holder of all the weather systems passing through, the raging storms, the beautiful sunshine days. We are the holder of all of it. Bringing attention in is where our empowerment rests. So So we tend the fire so that they burn through to purify the heart, allowing a stillness that is quiet enough and spacious enough to hold anger in any form. And that's not something we do in 3 days of practice, but over years of sitting and meditating and being with spiritual friends and listening to the Dharma and walking on this particular path. We can create the stillness that is quiet enough and whole enough and big enough to hold anger in any form. Big spaciousness over time. We can hold anything in there. This thunderstorm does not scratch the sky up, does it? Just like we can get big enough not to hold anger without it kind of creating destructive things around us and in us. Tanisra spoke in another context of getting angry. And when she was a nun in the Thai forest tradition in England in a monastery there. And she spoke of getting angry over time with the way the women were treated. And she talks about, she was so angry it just engulfed her and it constricts us and it binds us, hence the title of the talk today. And she said she had to just finally let it go, feel it all. She was trying to suppress it, trying to keep doing her duties, trying to wake up at 4 a.m, whatever time, do what she needed to do, what she was expected to do. She said it finally all broke open, as it will do if we try to pretend it's not there. And she said it burned through her heart, burned all the anger through her heart to a pure space. It was very still and very clear. So to listen and to discern and to find clarity in a fierce and compassionate wisdom is part of what we can use anger for. We befriend it for that purpose. And here we can find a considered non-reactive path to skillful action. Tanisra says, accepting the reality of dukkha isn't an abdication from response. It is a way to understand that the most effective way we can change the world is through the quality of our own awareness. As we work to resolve our personal dukkha, we lessen the possibility that our actions will increase the suffering that already exists. So when I look at what's happening in the world and I fear what's happening to people that have less privilege than I do, I can get really angry really quickly. I notice a huge aversion to watching certain people on television or listening to things that are being done. And I'm trying to swim to the depths of that still pool and keep it still, right? To really be present fully without being rageful, without consuming, marinating my heart in rage and hatred, which is not what I want to do on this path and in my life, in my Dharma values. Sustained anger is like rage and hate is an acid that controls the container it's held in. I don't want to be swept along. I want to be still in the midst of it. I want to offer my stillness and my peace. You know, Buddha's very famous words from the Dhammapada, hatred does not cease by hatred, but by love alone. This is an eternal truth. How do we live that every single day? How do we live that when we're walking out into the world and the way things are? It's hard. By what alchemy does anger-nourished hatred become love? How do we do that? We practice. That's the answer to everything, right? We practice. We return to the idea of fierce compassion, which is a commitment to nonviolence. I think that's a real commitment. We can't sort of say, we're going to do loving kindness here, then we go out there and start screaming horrible things at someone. Or how do we love? How do we bring that love? You know, Buddha did say, leave no one out of your heart. How do we do that? We accept that this may be more complex than a warm and fuzzy glow from a vantage point of rose-colored glasses, right? This isn't just pretty. Sometimes compassion's not pretty. This is a kind of compassion that's grounded deep into the earth like a giant boulder, sturdy and strong. And sometimes people, if they bump up against us, they might scrape their knees a little. That's okay. That's the ferocity. We want to be unmoving in the worldly winds of praise and blame, and fame and ill repute, pleasure, pain, loss, and gain. With clear, firm boundaries and purpose and values. It's fierce compassion. This is from Valerie Carr again on anger and rage. She says, to rage is to tap into our body's power to protect ourselves and others. When we honor our rage, we are attending to our own pain so that it does not corrode into hate for others or for ourselves. We release energy into action. So I think of, sort of when I read that, I think of this practice as forgiveness on tap. Like we're forgiving every day, every moment, so that we don't stay in that rage. We're saying, I understand that there are causes and conditions that lead you to be who you are in this moment. This is there are causes and conditions to my response. And I can offer compassion in both directions. with some practice. We start with that simple presence. Just what's going on? What's going on inside? What are the stories driving it? The views or opinions driving it? We note those lightly and then release. What story are we living? And in our hearts, what feelings are underlying? We can just take a pause. What's seeding our anger? What's fueling it? What's not letting us breathe it out? What's getting stuck? Again, we're asking these questions with compassion, not admonition. Is it hurt? Is it helplessness? I know that's a big one for me right now. Helplessness. I have no idea how to combat these forces at play that are difficult for me. And then we go to our bodies, the home of truth-telling and wisdom. Our bodies, I think, almost never lie. What's the felt experience? What's our body saying? Again, that question, where is this taking me? Following that out to a logical extreme. Where am I headed on this path? Which path am I on? Am I on the Dharma path with my Dharma values intact? Or am I giving in to the rage, which is not always easy to avoid? We name and simply be with this discovery. We hold space in our stillness, meeting it with compassion, a caring heart. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote this sweet book. It's most of his art on anger. I recommend it if you're interested. At the top, I can read you a little short section of it. He says, treating anger with tenderness. Mindfulness does not fight anger or despair. Mindfulness is there in order to recognize. To be mindful of something is to recognize that something is there in the present moment. Mindfulness is the capacity of being aware of what is going on. Breathing in, I know that anger has manifested in me. Breathing out, I smile towards my anger. This is not an act of suppression or of fighting. It is an act of recognizing. Once we recognize our anger, we embrace it with a lot of awareness and a lot of tenderness. We don't rehearse it. I think some neuroscience said the arc of a feeling, just a mere feeling without embellishment and papancha and flooding, conceptual proliferation, is 90 seconds. If left unattended, the feeling will pass through our body and flow through us in 90 seconds. But think about how we hold on, how we make stories, how we kind of get adhesive to our anger sometimes. We meet a value to do no harm. We do not succumb to violence and aggression in this path. We hope not to. That's aspirational. Because sometimes we impulsively discharge, we act out. That's just true, no matter what our intention. Because we have not yet cultivated the spaciousness to sit with the stillness and compassion. Buddha, in several suttas, instructs us to respond to anger of others and in ourselves with compassion, patience, kindness, and understanding. He says, otherwise we're like a person picking up a fiery coal and hurling it only to watch our hand get burned. He invites Mara to tea. There's some people I'm thinking of politically that I'm using for my own practice to try to open it up a little more, open my heart a little more. Certain people, when I see them on TV, I get angry. I'm imagining inviting them to tea. I'm not sure what that would look like, but I'm trying to get there with my loving kindness. So we also practice the Brahma Viharas. Those are good antidotes for aversion. Loving kindness itself is an antidote to aversion. Equanimity, accepting and being willing to be with things just as they are. That doesn't mean we don't change them in the next moment. It means we just say, here's the way things are right now, like my teacher said to me. It doesn't matter what you think should or shouldn't happen. What matters is what's happening in your recognition of it and what you're going to do about it and be intentional with it. It's like this. That's all. It's like this right now. It's acceptance and the cessation of fighting. Things have already happened. We often fight behind us a little bit. So imagine trying to punch somebody from here. Since stuff that's already happened, we work through it, we honor our feelings, we honor our wounds, and then we release. That's the forgiveness. From Viharas, mudita brings us into communion and reminds us of our interbeing. When something happens to you that's good, that I can say it happens to me as well. Mudita. We can lean into interbeing, we can lean into each other, we can share our stories, we can prop each other up. We can mutually be in community, sense our belonging, because we all belong to each other, every single one of us. We allow perspective, opening, spaciousness. That metaphor again of the vast sky helps us watch all of it, cultivates clearer seeing, helps us with a wider view, a longer view of many of the forces and causes and conditions that lead to this moment, and we are more than this moment. We're not stuck. So we don't have to watch for Chicken Little telling us the sky is falling down. Because it's not really. Here we are together in this shared experience, whatever it is. At a family level, at an interpersonal level, at a community level, at a global level. We all belong to each other. It's okay if we get angry sometimes. It's okay. It means something important. We have to pay attention to it, but we can try not to become it. Thich Nhat Hanh says, in the end, we aim to find peace. Suffering is not enough. I love those words. Suffering is not enough. Dalai Lama in his book again, and I'll close with this quote from him. It's a little bit long. On meeting a group of refugees who had encountered great suffering, this is what he said. I know their sadness. I know their suffering. I felt their sadness and pain, all of the absurdity and cruelty they had encountered. But here now I sit. I can laugh heartily and speak freely. This is not an emotional switch that I turn on and off. I can experience the sadness of the world's suffering, the absurdity, the cruelty, and I can share in others' pain and groan with them. I feel the same anger and outrage, but in the present moment, that anger motivates me to find the cause of suffering in the world, and to work harder in my own practice so that I can confront that suffering directly and enlighten humanity. I do this so that without exploiting myself or those refugees or resorting to violence, I can create a society that will bring freedom and happiness to all people. I can be angry. This anger is compassion. The experience of a pain and sorrow leads to enlightenment, a deep wish for salvation. A great desire for freedom emerges. To go from pain to limitless freedom is Buddhism. This is the path that the Buddha himself took. I think that's all I'll say for now, and I thank you so much for your kind attention, for your presence, and for your practice. And I'll open it up.
Questions after you've pressed the little square button.
Square button.
Right here somewhere.
I don't.
It should be right on the top there somewhere. Yeah, right up here.
Yes.
Yes.